Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to continue on with this week's Random Rumble, where we check out random songs selected from the spreadsheet. Today, we're going to be checking out a band called Kontinuum. The song is Kyrr. I'm going to go with Kyrr. That's what makes the most sense to me. And as with all the other stuff, this is the first time that this band has shown up on the channel. It's also completely new to me. That's what we do here at Reactions. And if you haven't guessed, I'm critical of what I react to, which is where we get the name Critical Reactions. That makes a bit of sense, right? Alright. So with that said, let's get into this one. Let's see what's going on here with Kontinuum. I pushed the wrong button. Okay. A lot of atmosphere here. Really good use of only one speaker to really make that explosion even larger. The dynamics were overwhelming. Has this nice weightlessness to it that I'm really digging. Yeah, a nice mix of the heavier and the more ethereal aspects. Okay. All right, definitely have some really cool stuff popping up in there. Um, the first thing that I want to talk about before I forget about is specifically the way that the drummer controls the intensity. Um, a lot of that song is the same thing from start to finish. As far as the guitar work goes, we have the heavy distortion part, and then we have sort of the more ethereal section. The melodic lines themselves change. I'm not saying that the heavier section always has the same, melody to it or rhythmic qualities or whatever. They change up a little bit. But for the most part, we kind of jump back and forth between these two sections, and we don't see a lot of dynamics within the sections. The heavy parts are all the same sort of intensity, they're all the same sort of volume. A lot of the intensity, though, especially at the end when we start hearing the build-up, getting ready to go to the outro, it's all handled by the drums. It starts out with the drums having a bit of openness, a lot of space between each hit, and then we go to snare on every beat. Maybe we went to snare on every other beat, and then snare on every beat, and then eighth note bass kicks. And the drummer was just constantly taking up more space in the mix, and the additional space and the faster frequency of the notes coming out from the drummer really made the song feel more intense. It ramped up the intensity without the rest of the band having to do anything. And you can go back and look at most of the song, and you'll hear that the sections that seem more driving, a lot of that isn't coming from the guitars or the vocalist, it's coming from the drummer. When the song needs to calm down a little bit, ease off a bit, the drummer leaves more space between notes. When the intensity needs to rise, the drummer starts playing faster notes. Yeah, it's kind of a masterful use of the drums in that manner. The rest of the rest of the band can focus on the atmosphere of the section. Is it heavier? Do we bring the distorted guitars in? Is a little bit more, is it lighter? Should we go with the sort of ethereal, clean guitar sound? What is the emotion of this section? But as far as the intensity, we'll leave that to the drummer. We're not going to worry about it. All right, we're going to worry about crafting this soundscape. And it's just a really masterful way to kind of divvy up the responsibilities of each of the instruments into handling specific dynamics, where the more melodic instruments handle the emotive and atmospheric qualities, while the rhythmic section, handles the intensity. It's really smart, and it's a fantastic way to get a lot of dynamics out of a lean setup, which I'm going to say this is. I didn't hear much of a bass. I'm going to assume that maybe it was low in the mix, or its rhythmic patterns lined up with the bass kicks and they sort of melded together. But I assume there's a bassist. One guitar could probably pull this off, though maybe there were two. And then your drummer and your singer. It is a small group, I would wager. And like I said, you kind of divvy up tasks and you're able to sound like more than the sum of your parts due to it. And they do a really great job. It sounds like layers are really coming in heavy at the end when it's still just the four or five of them. So just like I said, really masterful way of divvying up responsibilities. I really love the vocals, which that's not usually something I say too often, especially on this channel. We get a lot of harsh vocals around here. But the etherealness, not really. It's layered and it's kind of airy, and then I think there's a little bit of stuff done in the mix to kind of widen it and give it a bit of a reverb, more than a typical, because almost anytime I think anytime that you mix vocals, you're gonna put a little bit of reverb in it. It's all just the little tricks to make it sound better to our ears. Just raw singing, especially when you look at stuff like rock and metal. It's I don't know, it never seems to have that punch, and I think a lot of that is in the mixing and the mastering. Um, but this one felt like it had more reverb than you would normally add to give it a wider sort of, ethereal sound to it. It doesn't sound completely human. There's definitely something otherworldly about it. And it fits in beautifully with the guitars. They have the heavy echo. Not really the reverb. We're gonna go with reverb. Kind of the same thing, but I see nuances between those words. We're gonna go with reverb there. Um, and just like this weightlessness, the vocals and the guitars just kind of come together to create this kind of weightless feeling, and it's very well done. It even works as a sort of juxtaposition to the heavier stuff that comes in the heavier sections. Because I would almost wager that most other bands who attempted this style would switch up to a harsher vocal when we enter into the harder sections. Not necessarily switching to a growl or a fry, but just having a little bit more force, kind of using more of the diaphragm to project and getting a stronger vocal tone out of it. And they just don't do it here. And it's a very interesting juxtaposition that works. Um, it didn't sound like it was in a language I understood. I don't know if it. We've listened to some bands with made up languages, so I am not assuming anything. I'm not assuming anything today. It was a language I didn't understand. I don't know if it was made up. I don't know if it's just a foreign language. Um, I say foreign, but I should say non-English. It's foreign to me, but there are people. I am speaking a foreign language to some people, so that's not a great word. We're gonna go with the non-English language. I am interested what the story is and how it lines up with the sort of weightless etherealness that is present in the vocals and the clean guitar work. Overall, though, I really like it. I think it does a great job of lasting just long enough without overstaying its welcome. The band, or the song specifically, feels like they could have added in a bridge. I feel like it was really missing a bridge, but I also fear that if we do that, there's also going to be a chorus that comes, a final chorus, which means that the real final chorus would be pushed back to this, and we'd have another standard chorus there, where the final chorus is right now. And the bridge, I don't think, would add much musically. I kind of see it being more of either the heavy rhythmic stuff or the more melodic ethereal stuff. And I think they just did a really good job kind of preening this down to the 4 minutes that they have. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and I think it does what it needs to do. I think it was really smart. Um, there are other bands I think that probably would have tried to push this into the 6 minute range, and like I said, I'm kind of happy they went with four. I think it works very well. Speaking of rhythmic aspects, right there at the end, maybe a minute before the song ends, maybe not even that long, there is a really weird dynamic between the stereo, I think. I think we stereo guitars. I think it was two of them. They were definitely louder than the guitar that sounds more forward in the mix. And they were both doing that double hit accented da 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 da, something along those lines, but they were just slightly off kilter, like I don't know, like a beat and a half off or something like that. And it was the most jarring, disorienting thing I have heard in quite some time. Because the other than the volume difference, the timbres were very similar. So I expect them to line up. When they don't line up, I'm kind of expecting more of a hocket where the two pieces come together to create a single melodic line, but they don't really do that either. It's more of like a cannon or a round that isn't lined up quite right to work the way that they're supposed to, the way that they're traditionally created to do. And it defies everything that I expect for this type of composition in just a way that breaks my brain. And it was the weirdest thing to listen to. Um, Knowing what it is, any subsequent listen, I think I would be a little bit more prepared for it, and I can kind of analyze more of what's happening there rather than trying to compare it to what I think should be happening and is not. But that was just some really interesting rhythmic stuff going on in that section. All right, that one wraps this one up. Kind of a short video, but kind of a short song. So that kind of goes hand in hand. This is where you guys come in, though. I give you my opinions. You hit me up with yours. Drop some stuff in the comments. Let me know what you thought of Kontinuum's Kyrr. And if you have any knowledge about Kontinuum, maybe you can let me know if this is what they normally do, if maybe this is a one-off, maybe this is more of their ballad piece and they have some heavier stuff. Maybe they have epics. I don't know. You know, what should I be listening to next as far as Kontinuum goes? All right, above the comment box, there's a description box with some channel adjacent links if you're interested to anything outside of the channel, such as blocked videos or the Patreon, where you can join the Discord community as well as vote on future bands and themes. If either of those sound interesting to you, it's only $1 a month. That is a lot cheaper than Netflix is, and they keep raising their prices, and I haven't raised mine yet, so... All right, I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC to finish out Random Rumble with my pick from the poll. It's an interesting one. I don't know anything about it. I picked it solely on the name. It's going to be a fun one, though, I think. Just this name, man. It's a wild name. We started out the week kind of random. I mean, kind of wild, though, with that Tony Danza thing. I don't think we can really get any stranger than that, but we'll see. It's a pretty weird name. So I'm excited about that. And then, of course, in the weekend, we'll have special selections. And next week, we got more special selections. First week of the month. So I'm excited about that. 9 days of special selections. Again, we'll eventually get through this list. We'll open up the donations for that again. And weeks like next week help achieve that goal faster. Alright, until next time, you guys stay safe out there, continue being awesome, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.